Hi, my name is Amarani Avila.
And my name is Claudia Laguna Martinez, and we're doing the Emperor Xing Shi Huangdi's Terracotta Army. The Terracotta Army tomb was found what is now the Shanxi province in central China. It was found by some farmers who were digging for a well near what is now Xi'an, China in 1974. They started excavating a couple months later. The Terracotta Army was built around 2,000 years ago. When the known to be first emperor of China reigned, he was the first to unify the warring states.
And here we have some pictures of the actual excavation of the terracotta tomb. There, in the upper left hand corner, you see pictures of an archaeologist putting together the fragments that they found of the statues because most of them were destroyed, broken. They were under a tomb for 2,000 years, so they weren't looking that hot. And you see how they're cleaning off the faces. Some of the paint has fallen off. They're just digging up and excavating all of the artifacts that they have found. Now, firstly, the purpose of the whole tomb was to ensure the emperor's military power in the afterlife and to protect the tomb from burglars or people that wanted to get in and steal some of the stuff. There was a frame of steel built above the pit in 1976. It covers about 19,000 square yards and it even has lights, so they have daylight conditions at all times. Now, there's 4 overall pits. The first one is the largest of the 4. Pit 2 contains the cavalry, and Pit 3 contains the command post. The 4th was found, but it was empty, so they assumed that they never finished constructing it. Now, the warriors were set into positions ready to fight and ready for anything because they were there to protect the emperor. So, in the first row of some of the warriors, they're unarmored and standing up, while others behind them are kneeling. And archaeologists believe this was no mistake because they were kneeling to reload their crossbows as if they were already in a fight. Now, the warriors themselves, the horses and the chariots, are made of terracotta, which is a clay-based ceramic. And the order in which they made it was they got the clay, they built them, they constructed them, and then they fired them in a kiln, and then they painted over them. Now, what's interesting is that each soldier has a unique facial feature, as if they were modeled after real people, and it just shows really high levels of craftsmanship because even their hairstyles are different. So these are very detailed statues, and they give a representation of what the people in the Shin dynasty and how they looked in real life. So these are images of armor that are on display at the National Geographic Museum. Now, some of the statues, and on the right hand side, there is a recreation of what the archaeologists believe that the statues looked like when they were barely freshly made. Some statues still had paint left on them, or enough for experts to determine all the original colors. They were made with egg-based paint, and it was applied with 2 layers of lacquer. When the archaeologists found them, the lacquer dried and flaked off, taking some of the paint with it. But again, there was enough of it on there for them to recreate it. And then here's just another picture of a display that they have at a museum of the horses that are life-size and the chariots that, one of the many chariots that were found at the tomb. Now here are some of the weapons that they excavated. There was many crossbows, and the trigger parts, as pictured underneath the crossbow, is the little trigger parts as they were taken apart in each individual part on there. Then they had bronze arrows that were found, and a bronze halberd, which is an axe and a spear put together. Many of the warriors were found with this on them. And the archaeologists noticed that the weapons looked unused, so they discovered that the weapons were made solely for the statue army. and they were all preserved very well because of the chrome plating that they had over them.
The religion of the Qing Dynasty was they focused on the main philosophy, which was legalism. It was a philosophy which was more of a law that applied to everyone equally, for the exception of the emperor. When the Qing Dynasty reigned, they destroyed many philosophies and schools of thought, as well as scholars and philosophers. Along with those philosophies were the Moism, which was a popular philosophy in the Warring States. And as you can see in the picture, um, the Emperor Shing, he ordered his people to burn all the books of thought and any other evidence of different philosophies. And with that, they also buried um, the school scholars and philosophers. They buried them alive, or they were killed at the moment. This was a way that he promoted his philosophy of legalism. The first emperor of China believed in the afterlife. Um, there archaeologically, the evidence is found in the Terracotta Army, because he was buried next to his army to protect him um, in their afterlife. He was paranoid by the future, and he wanted to be able to control that. And saying that, he believed and he was obsessed with eternal life. So um, he wanted to find an elixir for immortality, and he had like his best chemists and magicians building this elixir. They experimented with mercury, and they believed that mercury was the elixir to immortality, to never die. Archaeologists found high concentrations of mercury in the tooth mound, which explains his looking for mercury as an elixir of mortality. In the Qin Dynasty peasant life, they were not easy, because the emperor, he assigned everyone two main jobs, either to grow food and or to harvest silk. As you can see in the right corner and left corner, we have farmers growing the food and harvesting the silk. And if people did anything else other than their assigned job, or they were found lazy, they were killed or sent to work at the Great Wall. And when they were sent to the Great Wall, they were sent to work there, but they weren't paid. It was more of a punishment for them. As you can see in the middle picture, we have the Qing Dynasty. He could be like a soldier, and he was hitting them with a rope in order for them to keep working. Um, the emperor had many projects. Many of these projects were to build roads, bridges, and canals. Also, there was a system for flood control. Again, he assigned the farmers and peasants these jobs, um, even if they didn't want it to. There was no saying no to him. Um, he wanted these jobs to be done, well done, and quickly. Here is the emperor's tomb. It has not yet been excavated. There are pros and cons of whether or not archaeologists should open it out of respect.
And here we have an image of the emperor, in case you wanted to put a face to the name, because we've been talking about him for the past 9 minutes. And then here we have Hollywood's version of Emperor Chen Shi Huangdi. That is Jet Li from the movie The Mummy, The Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.